I was thinking, maybe when I retire, I'll write a book about all this stuff. And then COVID happened. I was like, well, I'm sitting around doing a lot of nothing. I hope that some of the things that I've learned can really help someone in that entry level position for leadership. Funny nickname for like captains that would come to the station angry. We call him Angry Dad. When Dad came home mad, everyone scattered, because there's some people that are easy to lead and there's some people that are hard to lead. Once you really start to get yourself confident, you got to make sure the people around you are confident. You can't be scared. You should be scared in certain situations. There should be a level of fear there. But we have to control that fear and let it work for us.
Welcome to Respond to Resilience, along with my co-host Bonnie Rumley, LCSW EMT. I'm David Dashinger. In this episode, we'll be speaking with Captain Jared Vermeulen. He's a captain with the Boca Raton Fire Rescue, and we'll be talking about leadership, culture, customer service, wellness for the modern fire officer, and his book by the same name, The Modern Fire Officer. We invite you to like and subscribe, YouTube, Respond to Resilience, Facebook, Responder Wellness Inc., and Responder TV, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and check out our website, respondertv.com, for past episodes and guest information. We'll be right back to speak with Jared after this.
In this family, more of us die by our own hands than by the hazards of the job.
In this family, up to a quarter of 911 telecommunicators have symptoms of post-traumatic stress.
In this family, our mental health and wellness are in crisis,
while responders are quietly suffering.
In this family, many struggle with job-related stress,
burnout, trauma, sleep disruptions, substance abuse,
and relationship problems.
In this family, we can help the helpers.
With vital information and resources,
resilient strategies,
and success stories of overcoming the obstacles.
In this family, no one is alone.
Welcome to Respond to Resilience with co-hosts retired Lieutenant David Dashinger, Dr. Stacy Raymond, and Bonnie Rumley, LCSW EMTB.
We'd like to welcome Captain Jared Vermeulen. He was hired with the city of Boca Raton Fire Rescue as a firefighter in 2007, and he now holds multiple state certifications in technical rescue, hazardous materials mitigation, and serves as the peer support coordinator. And he's been serving as a fire officer for over 10 years. Jared has the privilege and challenge of raising 2 kids, and he does that with the help of his wife of over 16 years. Jared, welcome to Respond to Resilience.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to a great conversation with you guys today.
Likewise.
Well, we were really looking forward to having you. We stumbled on your book pretty recently, The Modern Fire Officer, and I know that some of us have already bought it and given it out to people to help them. So I can't thank you enough for that. We would really just love to hear about your journey. How did you become a fire captain? And then how did this book come to fruition for you?
So I got hired when I was 21, just before 22, pretty young. And I feel like that's happening a lot more, at least with our department. We hire a lot of young people. So I had not a lot of responsibilities outside of work. So it helped me to be able to move up pretty quick. You can have more time for study when you don't have kids. So I became a driver pretty quickly. And then I was able to work for a bunch of different captains, and in doing that, you get to see a lot of different styles. You get to see what works, maybe what doesn't work, what things I want to be, what things I don't want to be, who I want to emulate, who I want to mimic, and things that definitely don't work. I don't want to do that. And I really tried to focus in on what those things were, because I knew that I wanted to get to the captain's role, because I wanted to change a few things in the station level that I could see that were just like communication issues, like different things that can really bring a crew closer together. We always have very good customer service in Boca, but there's definitely the tide was turning on generational differences, on differences in the community, differences in the world, the type of calls that you're running, the technology you're dealing with to do it, the amount of protocols you're responsible for, all these different things. And they were finding its way into the firehouse, and just kind of that older school mentality of do it because I said so, or micromanagement, any of that stuff doesn't work. And I think a lot of that really adds to, a lot of the issues you talk about on this podcast, which is like the burnout and the different mental health concerns, because, they might not have psychological safety at work. They might not, feel that they have any purpose and meaning, if they can't get anything out of it when they're at work. And then you get this, vicious cycle where you just hate coming to work and you just hate being, because that's your purpose goes away. So I really tried to learn a lot from that. And when I got into that captain's role, I tried to do those things that I thought would work. And some of them did, some of them didn't. And I'll tell you what, that was probably one of the most anxious times of my life when I first got into that captain's role, because you don't ever understand exactly what it is till you get there, till you're in charge of everything. Everyone's coming to you, and everyone's looking at you to be that example. So that's why in the book I put an entire chapter on overcoming fear, overcoming those feelings of inadequacy and those types of things, because they will come. But fear itself is okay, right? It's a normal thing, and it's necessary to have, because we have in our career, it's part of our risk analysis. If we don't have any fear of anything, our risk analysis will be completely messed up and we'll do something stupid. So we do need, that self-preservation.
Right.
And I talk about in the book how to deal with those things. And once I got a lot of those under control, worked through different things, had a few years under my belt at trying to gain respect, help people to get better at their jobs through mentorship, I realized that the soft skills is so much more important than most other skills, or in a way that it's just so lacking, because we train all the time on strategies, tactics, physical things. And really, I feel a lot of times, and maybe you guys could agree, and people in other departments, that a lot of times those are really easy to pick up, right? This is how we do it. We run through this thing. All right, now we got it. You got it. Next time we see this, we're going to do this exactly. We have the protocol set. Great, moving on. So, but with the soft skills, not quite like that. You could say, okay, because it's very nuanced, right? And you could say, okay, this will work maybe in this situation, but maybe not so much in this situation, because everyone's different, and it's just much more nuanced. There's a lot there. And I found myself whenever I was training captains, because I'm at the training station, and I do a lot of the final sign-offs for our captains, station captains. It was all soft skills. Like, I barely did any strategy and tactics, anything like that. They already had that pretty much on lock. It was all the soft skills. They'd ask me, if this happens, and what do I do? And this happened in the station. Okay, yeah, well, you have to approach it like this. Are you going to put them on the defensive? Are they going to listen to you? Are you going to get a buy-in? Like, all these different things. So I found myself saying the same things over and over again to each one of those candidates. And I started writing them down. And I was thinking, maybe when I retire, I'll write a book about all this stuff. And then COVID happened, and I was like, well, I'm sitting around doing a lot of nothing. So maybe I should just do it now. I'm sure it would be beneficial to somebody, I hope. And so I put it all together, tried to make it very quick and simple to read, more based on concepts and principles, so that you could take it and apply it more specifically to you. So it's not too specific to where it's not really applicable for your department, but it's just vague enough to where you could say, okay, I see how I could take this concept, and now I can use that in, my station, my department, whatever it may be. And so far it's been getting pretty good feedback, because it's just very different. It's not textbooky. It's meant to read as though I'm there with you, or your mentor is there with you, one-on-one. Hey, try this. And that's why I try to keep a lot of war stories out of it and things like that too. It's meant to be real quick. Firefighters, unfortunately, usually are not like huge readers, so I didn't want them to pick it up and it's like this monster textbook, and then I forget this, I'm not reading that. I wanted to make it towards that you pick it up, you say, okay, I think I can get through this. It should be pretty much an afternoon read if you're a decent reader, like quickly, if not so much, maybe a couple days. And so that was my plan. It's very deliberately short and to the point. And yeah, it's just, I hope that some of the things that I've learned can really help someone in that entry level position for leadership. The modern fire officer. Communicate, motivate, and lead. As officers, we embrace a profound calling, a call to serve with unwavering dedication, to lead with courage, and mentor with heart. In our profession, we are asked to move heaven and hell. We need charismatic leaders with the emotional IQ to motivate their people to execute their training at the highest levels. Consider your crew family. Serve your family with dedication and lead by example to inspire them to support each other and achieve greatness together. The foundation of leadership rests on service, sacrifice, self-control, and humility. Never stop learning. From day one, every experience is a continuous journey. Celebrate this extraordinary journey with a commitment to your craft and the deep care you invest in your team. The station officer is where the rubber hits the road. You decide the level of service given. What kind of mark will you leave? The Modern Fire Officer. Communicate, motivate, and lead. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. Digital, print, and audio format.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with everything you just said. And I wanted to kind of just point out that, when I was going for promotion to lieutenant, a friend of mine who was promoted ahead of me gave me this advice. He said, the easy part is going to be going out and doing those calls. The hard part is what takes place in the firehouse. And I scratched my head and I'm like, what is he talking about? But it's exactly what you just said, Jared, that they don't really cover this stuff when you're, taking the classes for fire officer. And even if you maybe have a mentor, if you're, watching a role model type officer, you still can't really grasp them until you get in that position of, like you said, people coming to you for all kinds of things that, you never realized were going to be part of your domain. And stepping into that, I want to ask you about something you mentioned, and that's sort of the fear and maybe even the feelings of inadequacy, because there's probably no practical way to prep for stepping into a captain's role other than just doing it. What are your thoughts about managing the feelings we might have of inadequacy and fear when we take on this role?
I think you just got to be honest with yourself, and kind of going back to what you said about having a mentor too, like probably one of the worst things, or hardest things I should say, is if you I have all this fear about these different things, like you don't want to go to your mentor and be like, I'm scared. So that's kind of why I put that in the book too, where it's like, it's okay. You can be scared. You should be scared in certain situations. There should be a level of fear there, but we have to control that fear and let it work for us. And the biggest thing is really your foundation. Having your foundation right is key. So you work on yourself. You get your competency up, right? Competency equals confidence. And when you can have that, you can also have self-esteem. So those three things are really going to push you ahead to where, okay, I can feel more safe doing these things because I put in the work, right? So number one, it's just going to be a lot of work. Work on yourself, right? Real soul-searching kind of deep dive where, okay, what am I not good at? Be honest with yourself and fix it, right? What am I scared of? Make a list. Plan it out. Okay, I'm scared of these things. This is a target hazard in my zone. If I get a call there, I'm going to be, I'm not where I want to be. How do I get there? So I make a plan, right? But then the other part of that competency too is once you really start to get yourself competent, you got to make sure that people around you are competent. And that's where the training part comes from. And that teaches you to be better at what you learn, because no one knows the subject better than the one teaching it. So that's really, it's a lot. It's not overnight. It's going to take time. But a lot of it has to do with that foundation, soul searching, making yourself better, figuring out where you're lacking, being honest about it, putting in the hard work to get better at it, planning that out, how that's going to look. Okay, step one, I'm going to find out, these different things in my zone. This is what I'm afraid of. Step two, this is the training I'm going to do. Step three, this is the training I will do with my crew on it, and that way we'll be ready to go. And they just don't have to be huge things. They can be baby steps. It could be a tabletop to start with something. You pull your crew and say, listen, we got an airport in our zone. I want to get everyone's thoughts and expertise on where you are at with that too. This is where I'm at. Where are you at with it? You might have someone that's an ARF genius in your crew and you didn't even know it, that maybe came from another department. I don't know. And now you have someone to work with to get better at those things. But it's all a step at a time, and you're chipping away at that fear until that fear is background. And that's where we want it. We just want a bit of background so we have something to play off of when we're doing our risk analysis, right? So it's like, I should be in fear of these things because this is real, but I have it in check to where I can act, I can do the things that I need to do when I'm on scene for those things.
Got it.
Well, this is an offshoot of the fear, but there's also a fine line between fear and this concept of imposter syndrome that I definitely encountered in the therapy office. I've encountered it as a leader myself and seeing other leaders. Do you have any specific advice as to that little line between fear and imposter syndrome, and some advice that could help that?
I think it's very related, because your fear is that you're incompetent. And so you have to figure out what that is. So that's a thing where it's the ego you have to put aside. You have to be willing to have a really uncomfortable conversation with yourself and probably with someone that loves you enough to tell you the truth. And then when they do, you can't just be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Forget you. You have to be like, okay, if that's, I trust you. I went to ask you for a reason, where I'm lacking, and now I'm going to fix it. And you have to approach it that way. Otherwise, you will feel like an imposter. And that's why your subconscious is going to torture you. If you are just making motions, you're getting to the top. I'm not thinking, I could get paid a little bit more to be a captain and come to work than just a driver or firefighter or whatever. And then when you get there, you realize, holy crap, I just made this move and I'm an imposter. Why? Why are you an imposter?
Right.
Find out why.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it because my communication skills are lacking? Is it because maybe my strategy and tactics in a certain way is lacking, or whatever it is? Okay, awesome. Write it down, right? Which also helps, when you get those things out of your head onto paper, especially for sleep. And now I can form a plan, right? Okay, these are those things. This is the priority of those things, right? I need to do this one first. I'm going to work on that first. And we're chipping away to where you're no longer an imposter anymore. Now you're right where you need to be.
That's really helpful, because where I see it playing out the most is how much our professions have changed in recent years with, mass violent events that occur. And that's where I see a lot of anxiety and fear at the moment is, what do I do when I'm the one in charge that day when this thing happens? And I think there's a lot of training around it now, which is great. There's a lot of awareness, but there's a lot of talk and change in verbiage from when people started this profession to where they are now, that's saying to them, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when. And so I'm seeing that play out in a lot of anxiety in our responders from all branches, to be honest. So anything they can do to practically help that piece, because that thought is, I think, terrifying to all of us. No one wants that.
I can talk to how I deal with that. And I kind of relay that in the book a bit and things that I've talked to. But number one, you have to be honest with yourself about those situations. There is no one on earth that's going to walk into that situation and do it perfectly. Nobody. Right. So you got to understand you're not Superman, and neither is anyone else. And that's just not reality. So you will not do it perfect. Come to terms with that, right? Yeah. What you want to do is get it to as close as perfect as you can. So again, that comes to, okay, what could I get better at? But then spreading that to your crew and making them competent. When you have competent people around you, you have to make less decisions. So when you train up everyone better than you, then all of a sudden now you have to make less decisions, and the work output is much better, much more autonomous, and you've already played these things out. So it's all that preparation into the competency of you and your crew, and it's with those kinds of things, it's always going to be a work in progress. And I would say really focus in on the more basic skills of those things that you can do all the time. Like what really sets up a call like that. So if it's like an active shooter thing, practice putting the vests on, practice putting the helmets on, if you, in a timely manner, practice moving in them, practice if you have a mannequin, doing medical work in those outfits so that it's comfortable. And a lot of times those basic things, when you get them right, it builds the rest of the call so where it can go well. And I'm sure you've seen that before. Like you park wrong on a call, all of a sudden the call goes like crap, because you're not in the right place, and maybe a hose line doesn't reach, or the ambulance can't get in, or something like that. And then it goes to crap. But if you practice those basic things, then you have something to build up on. And even if it's something we can't ever guess that would take place, at least we built a foundation with our basic foundational skills and the competency of our crew to build that foundation to where, okay, we have that. Now we can start making the next steps all the way up.
Sure.
Introducing FDTs, the only gourmet tea crafted with first responders and their families in mind. Proudly firefighter and veteran owned, our collection of gourmet organic teas is uniquely designed to honor those who are on the front lines to protect our communities. At FDTs, we believe in quality. That's why we source the freshest organic tea available, offering you the most popular flavors that not only excite your taste buds, but also bring comfort and relaxation to your daily life. Indulge in our specialty blends: classic Earl Grey, soothing chamomile, vibrant green tea with ginger root, decadent chocolate salty caramel black tea, and robust Irish breakfast. FDTs makes for a special and unique gift, perfect for any occasion or season. Taste the difference and show your appreciation for the rescuers in your life with FDTs, exclusively available on FDTs.com and in our Etsy store, Fire Department Prints.
I want to shift a little bit because one of the concepts in the book you talk about is family and the officer being more of like the parent and as an approach to leadership. And we talk on the show a lot about adverse childhood experiences and how that kind of plays into people on the job relating to chiefs and that sort of thing. Because on some level, a captain or a chief is a parent figure to the members of their crew or department. So how does this perspective influence decisions and interactions with your team on a daily basis? So
unfortunately, some people kind of miss the point of that metaphor that you're like a parent. But really what that is, it's not you're going around treating firefighters like children. It's more of the qualities that a parent is showing to their children, right? So they put ego aside, right? That's dedication. That's real servant leadership, where they're serving those children. Really, they're giving up energy, time, all their different resources to make sure that they succeed. And what good parent doesn't want their kids to succeed higher than they did? Mm-hmm. Right. So, I mean, you want to talk about putting ego aside, something that's like kind of an issue in the fire service where if you can help your crews to succeed more than you do, wow, that's something pretty special that you could give them. And that's kind of the idea there where, the parent ideology of that servant leadership is where you're more selfless now, right? You're giving yourself to the crew, and you have to do that if you want to make a safe environment for them to succeed. And it goes all the way up through the ranks. And really, you kind of get similar trauma, like you're saying, that childhood trauma, it does come out later in life. And maybe like an aspect of that is situations in the home, right, that were not good. If it starts to mimic that in the station level, all those feelings, all those things are going to come back, right? You're not going to get any kind of real work out of that person because now it's just straight defensive mode. Like that's going to put them right back into that feeling when they were a kid. And it's happened to me before too. I had a great childhood, but there's certain things that would remind me of something. I'd be like, oh, I don't like that. We had, a funny nickname for like captains that would come to the station angry. We call them Angry Dad.
Yeah.
And that's like everyone, when dad came home mad, everyone scattered, he didn't want to be anywhere near him. Like, oh my God, I don't know what happened to work today, but I'm going in my room. I'm not going to say a word because I don't want to be on the brunt end of whatever, is happening. And we can't do that, as station officers. You can't do that as any leadership above station officers. You can't kind of make an environment that is going to mimic a poor environment from the past that somebody's had, right? And that's all part of the psychological safety. That's all part of being self-aware of what you're doing, what your body language is, your own communication, how you're coming off, being honest enough with yourself, humble enough with yourself to where someone's like, hey, you're coming in here, you're kind of like angry and you're being short with everyone and it's making it not a very nice place. And then instead of it blowing up at them, making it worse, then you're like, oh man, like, thank you for telling me, I'm going to work on that,
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, because it's not like as when you take that leadership role, you've become a different person. You're the same person. So all those qualities you have to continually work on all the time, the communication all the time. And it is exhausting. Like it's easier to do physical things than it is to work at communication skills. And what people don't understand, and I've mentioned this before on other podcasts, is they usually get like the blatant, the span of control is whatever, 3 to 7, 3 to 8 firefighters, and okay, moving on. But why is it? Why is the span of control that amount? And I'm going to tell you why. It's because you have to know those people very well in order to lead them, to mentor them, to train them, to know what their likes and dislikes are, what motivates them, right? What's a strength and a weakness, and what communication style works for them. Because when you communicate, it's not like I learned to communicate today. I doubt it, right? That's a work in progress, right? And it is different for everybody. I communicate with each one of my crew members completely different because I know them enough. I put in the work, right, to where I know, okay, if I approach this to that person this way, they'll become defensive. But if I use that same method with somebody else, it could be a slam dunk on trying to maybe help them with an issue or just talking to them in general. It doesn't have to always be some discipline thing, a training thing, whatever. It should just be connecting with someone on a real level and having a rapport, right? Which is huge if you want to be a leader. And so that communication thing it's so big to really customize that, and understand each person, and it's a lot of work, and it's hard too when you have maybe a situation where you might not have the same people all the time, right? They bid in, bid out, or whatever. It's like, okay, here we go again. Now I got to learn this.
You swap onto another shift for for a time with a different crew, and now you may know them, you may not know them, but then you're dealing with getting to know them on a short-term basis and working with them for that 24 hours or whatever time frame it is.
Well, the other side of that coin is, when I went into my leadership role at the agency for 2 years, I definitely had the benefit of being a trauma therapist walking into that role because I could see very quickly that people were playing out their mother and father relationships with me. I think the really difficult thing is you could be the best communicator. You could go 150% all the time as a leader to do your best. And for some people, they will still play out those childhood things on you or assume things about you, or, just try to attach meaning to the things you've done in a way that speaks to their trauma, shall we say, not to the leader that you are. So it's really difficult. You can be your best, and that is always going to play out. But I do think it's important to point out to leaders, that advice you got, David, there's nothing more true than that. The calls are the easy thing in the end, and doing patient care, fighting fires, but it's all of this background. And I think every leader needs to pay attention to what Jared is saying and listen to your people and know what makes them tick. The other part is knowing what incentivizes them, right? Because if you know what drives someone or what their strengths are, like, let's try to use those things what can that person bring to our little family, our little team, but then the broader team on the calls. So
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's not meant to be manipulative at all. That's
right.
seeing what motivates people. And it goes back to the parent and child kind of the qualities there, right? When you have someone you care about and you want to get them to succeed, you're looking at, okay, I know you really enjoy these things. I know that this makes you open. This will have a buy-in. And then you approach that subject in that way. If you do this, you will succeed. And that's, in my opinion, not manipulative. It's trying to help someone to succeed. And that's a great feeling for both people. And it's really, the mentorship really is the beating heart of leadership. And all of that is very time consuming. Like we said, it's honing those communication skills. It's being able to know who those people are, what works for them, their backgrounds, but it's also being honest and knowing that some people will make you be a leader more than others. That's what I tell like new leaders. There's some people that are easy to lead, and there's some people that are hard to lead, right? And
Make you
think
work
of yourself, for it. Yeah, like a shepherd dog. Like sometimes, the dog woofs, and the whole flock goes over into the pen, and everything's great. And sometimes they're barking and running and growling, and sometimes that's going to be you. Sometimes it's a quick woof, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a lot of work. But you signed up for it, not them. They're not in the leadership role. You are. So you got to take responsibility for the role that you've taken on. And it's a responsibility that's more than just, they're fine. Because we really have an effect on mental health in the leadership role, a huge effect on mental health, in my opinion. For the environments that we create at the station level, the atmosphere, right? What we allow or don't allow to happen between crew members, the customer service that we provide, how that affects mental health. I really feel that that's one of the biggest issues with burnout is that when customer service starts to wane, burnout creeps in, and it's a vicious cycle until burnout is completely done. Like really, customer service is really for the provider over a 30-year period. And that is the same for the customer service we provide for anyone in the field. That's the same for the customer service, so to speak, we provide internally. And the better that is, the more healthy we can be. And then the more healthy we can be, the more adequately we're prepared to deal with the things that we can't change, the things that we hear, that we see, that we smell, that we feel on these different events when we're running our 911 calls.
If you're living with stomach pain and struggling to lose weight, I can empathize because for the first half of my life, I did as well. But I found the science-based strategy that helped me lose and keep 80 pounds off, and it's what I have right here. My team and I created the Balance Box as a way for you to achieve balanced, holistic health and give back to others all at the same time. So that science-based strategy I mentioned, super simple. Balance the pH of your body for maximum nutrient absorption. Balance your gut-brain connection. Get good sleep every night and feel a sense of purpose. It is scientifically proven that when we feel a sense of purpose, we have less cortisol pumping through our veins and it improves our mental wellness. So that's what the box does. What's inside? You get a bottle of our supplement ENSzyme. That's our plant-based digestive formula, a pH test kit that's good for 1,000 tests, REM sleep from our partner Healthy Cell, and the best part about this box is a portion of every fee goes to our growing mission, the Influencers of Kindness, which you are now a part of. You are helping us feed and clothe our homeless veterans and brothers and sisters. So check us out online at thebalancebox.lifestyle. You can try us risk-free. We will honor a full refund in 45 days if you're not happy. And join us at the lifestyle movement that's changing the world.
Jumping back to the internal workings of the firehouse, especially on your shift with your crew, how do you as a officer kind of keep tabs on them to see how they're doing, particularly with mental health, maybe anything that's challenging going on in their life, family related or other things inside or outside the job? What's your strategy for making sure that all your crew members are healthy and doing okay, on any given shift?
Well, it's all about baseline, knowing what their baseline is. So that's going to take some, friendly investigation. And really, everyone on your crew should be a friend. No one's going to be your best friend, necessarily. I mean, you might have best friends, and that's great. But not everyone on your crew might necessarily be a best friend. But you want them to be a friend. And that's one of the things I kind of disagree with, like from buddy to boss. To me, in our line of work, it's buddy and boss. And that works with respect. Right? When you work for respect, you can be a buddy and a boss. You can be both. And I think you need to be in our line of work, because without that, you won't know the people that are around you. And in our line of work, you have to know them, right? You have to know what their histories are. You have to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. Someone on your crew just went through having maybe God forbid, like the death of a child or something, or that's like in their past, right? That better be on your mind as a leader in that setting, in that crew. As soon as you see that person in the morning, right, you better think, okay, today we get a certain call. I need to keep eyes on that person and make sure they're okay. And that's not something that's beyond your role. It isn't. That is your role as a leader, and in the fire service especially, and in paramedicine, and even in hospital settings. That is your role as leader, and how we can create those different relationships is that we be a better person, be a person that people want to be friends with, right? So again, it comes back to foundation. What's your foundation? Are you someone that draws people to you, or are you someone that pushes people away, right? In that leadership role, you need to help yourself be in that role by being someone people are already drawn to. Otherwise, you're just working against yourself. Right. So get over your ego. What is it that sucks about you, and fix it, and make it to where, it's not hard to make those connections with people, even if you're not best friends. That's okay. But just to have a rapport, it's so important, man. The rapport itself, to be able to get the baseline on people, to really understand someone, and to be honest with, and to be vulnerable too, so that they can be vulnerable back. And it's so important with the mental health aspects. It's so important with every aspect, really. Especially when it comes to having to do something that's perceived negative, like discipline, right? So, the first time you talk to someone for real, and that's during discipline, you might as well forget it, because they're going to backs up, they're defensive, they're not listening. But if you worked hard and you put that, and you really cared about that person before, you understand, where they're coming from, things that are going on in their life. Now, when you come and say something happened where discipline maybe is mandatory, they were late, whatever it is, now you actually have a rapport, something to base, that difficult conversation off of, and get a buy-in, help that person to really succeed. Because again, going back to that parental type of quality, if you care about your kids, you want them to be nice. That's why we discipline them, so they will succeed, right? If we didn't give a crap about our kids, when they had a tantrum at the grocery store, we'd be like, all right, whatever, right? Like, come on, No, you would say, like, no, dude, don't do that. Okay. Like, listen, when you act like that, people aren't going to want to be around you. I want you to be, happy in life. And that quality of where I want to see you succeed, that's that quality. I'm not treating you like a child. I want to see you succeed. Right. And that's a two-way door too, because if they don't see you with that same mentality where someone says, hey, I want to see you succeed, and you did this, and you're like, I forget you, then you just set the example that you're going to get, whether you like it or not.
I think it's also important. People look to you as a leader for boundaries, right? Boundaries in relationships, boundaries with personal versus work. We know that both are existing at all times, but I think it's important to be able to say to someone, hey, I have my captain hat on right now, or I'm talking to you as a friend right now, so that they sort of know which side of you they're also getting. Because I think if you come on strong and you're the leader all the time,
Right.
that's really hard when you're balancing that buddy versus boss situation, like you said. So I feel like it's okay to encourage people to let the person you're talking to know which hat you're wearing when they're about to talk to you about something.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, and that's part of the whole communication thing, and also having the rapport to have the respect to where you say, hey, listen, right now, like I have to, put my captain's hat on because X, Y, Z happened, and then they're going to listen because, but also too, you have to again be the example of what you want. You can't expect anyone to act, better than you. That's just foolish. So, in the station setting, you can't allow yourself to do things that you don't want your crew to do, right? If you make jokes a certain way or treat someone a certain way or whatever, you better not do any of that stuff, right? If you want your crew to respond the same way. Now, in the past, this is a big issue too, where I used to be like that. Maybe I used to come in and I used to say some off-color jokes. I used to treat certain people a certain way. And all of a sudden, I got a captain shirt on, and now I'm in a position to where, oh man, I really don't want them to do that because of obvious reasons. Now it's time to come clean, and I talk about that a little bit in the book about being truthful. Like if there's things that you've done in your past, own up to it. Go to those people you upset. Tell your crew, listen, this is how I was. It was stupid, and I'm sorry. I said these jokes, they're not funny. I wish I never had said that. Or I treated you a certain way. It was stupid, and I wish I've never done that. And I'm going to try to never do that again. And I hope you can, forgive me for that. And I hope that we can work together well. That's a conversation that's a difficult conversation. People don't want to have that conversation. It's hard to, even when you're not the one going to apologize, to even be there to hear the apology. Right. So these are very touchy, tactful situations where, you're going to need to work on your communication, work on a lot of things, and then approach those things from a humble standpoint. Otherwise, you won't, and mean it. Otherwise, you're not going to get, those changes, and you're not going to gain respect for yourself.
The difficult thing that you're talking about is that a lot of leaders do have that vulnerable side, and I think would admit mistakes and really want to get better. And then I think there are a lot of leaders who do fit the bill for narcissistic personality disorder, and they're not going to own behavior or even look at their own behavior to make changes. And so I think the people in those departments feel very stuck. Those are the people that come for therapy. They feel often traumatized or betrayed by those leaders. So the difficult thing here is that the people that want to make changes and be vulnerable and be their best will. And then we still have this portion of people that are not willing to do the work, and it impacts their people.
Yeah, it's difficult because, and that's really a leadership issue of that person as leader, so if that's a captain, maybe they're battalion chief, they're not doing their job, and you can tell that it's not hard to tell, right? If you're in a battalion chief role or any role for that matter, and you come into the station, you can get the temperature as soon as you come in there. It's not hard. Okay. It's immediately you can tell like, ooh, this little touchy around here, And if you're a battalion chief or you're higher up, hopefully you're not the chief, but if you're, the one that's over a situation like that, and you come into a situation, it's time to say something. It's time to mentor. It's time to say, this is not the atmosphere that should be taking place here. And so number one, I would say that, whoever is that person's leader needs to step up to the plate. And then for those that are unfortunately in that situation to where they're under leadership that is poor like that, my biggest thing is to focus on home. Focus on your foundation at home, right? That should be what gives you real purpose and meaning, right? And then work is really something that adds to that, makes it even better. It's like the cherry on top. But make your what really matters in your life whole, right? And then you can work on different things when you're at work. You can always learn from those situations. If I'm gonna move up, hopefully I'm gonna start acting now like the leader I wish I had, right? The leader that I want to be, and I'm gonna start to get to a place where one day that might be me, and I'm never going to do that. and I'm going to be something that he's not, or she's not.
Yeah.
And when you really look inward instead of outward, then you can change something that's available to you to change, right? Because sometimes you're not going to change that person, right? And it's going to be hard. There's no magic bullet for that. You're going to deal with some, and I've had it too. I've had some station captains that I was not in love with, to put it lightly. But I try to learn from it, try to focus on home, try to make myself better, and try to kill them with kindness. And really what that does is it is a mirror, right, to that person, to hopefully they can see that, wow, I'm not that good at this. Maybe I should change something, or at least it's a obvious show to those that are watching to say, you know what? I don't like that guy. I like that guy. I don't like that girl. I like that girl, whatever it is. And I want to be more like that person, right? So now you're turning the tide to where it's not just more people acting the way that poor leader is, which really is just a manager at that point, not a leader. And you have more people that are on your side, so that when those people hopefully are gone or change their ways, right, now we have an even better atmosphere when we come through the other side.
Well, I want to kind of close up with a question that we were talking a little bit about this offline, and that has to do with you got hired at a time you were pretty young and got promoted relatively young. And I want you to talk a little bit about kind of the generations that you've seen on your job, the younger and the older guard, and what advice would you give someone younger who's wanting to promote or maybe just got promoted to a leadership position like captain? What would you tell them as a younger member of the fire service dealing with the new, 2024 parameters that we're dealing with out there in the job?
I'd say number one, again, it's the foundation thing. So keep looking at yourself. Make sure that the qualities that you want, your principles, are high. In the book, I talk about the qualities of service, sacrifice, self-control, humility, how important those things are and how they build off of one another. And so whatever those are for you, right? Whatever those are for you, build those up. So be a better person. And then the humility thing at the end is so important, right? Especially when you're young. You don't know everything, okay? I'll tell you, none of us know everything. And comparatively to the human knowledge, we almost know nothing, type of thing. So it's not to make you feel bad. It's just to say, you got a lot to learn, and that's a good thing. It's nice to have things to learn to get better. So be humble, right? And work hard. So it's attitude and it's work. So if you're in a position where you're a young officer, you have people on your crew, maybe your entire crew is older than you, has more seniority than you do, validate all the things that they've done, because they've gotten there too. They spent the time, they put in the work, they know things you don't know, okay? They have things to teach you, just like you might have things to teach them. So validate those things, stay humble, ask for help when you need it, right? That doesn't mean you get railroaded or run over. If there's things that are important to you, you need to know what those things are and make sure that you stick to your guns, right? But keep your head down and work hard. And if there's anything that makes waves in the fire station, is it someone that is humble and works hard, for sure, especially when it's the leader.
Well, Jared, as we wrap up, let people know where they can find the book and where they can find you, website or any social media contacts.
So I'm on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Jared Vermeulen. And then the website for the book is modernfireofficer.com. So it doesn't have the in the beginning, just modernfireofficer.com. And if you wanted to contact me that way too, there's like a way to email on it. You can use that. It goes right to my personal email. And for the book, it's pretty much available anywhere. Amazon is, I think, one of the pretty much the largest distributors there. Barnes and Noble, but it's in digital format, print, obviously, and Audible. And then, so you should be able to easily find it. And I hope that it helps. I hope you can gain some wisdom from it and help you to get better in your officer role. And And please leave a honest review once you're done for me, because those things are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah. Well, you have a pretty good collection of reviews, getting close to 70, it looks like, on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I really, want to underscore the fact that the book is an easy read, and also really fills the gap with the lack of material out there, lack of other books that have addressed this part of being an officer.
Right.
It really is it's been much needed in the fire service to help newly promoted or aspiring officers, or maybe even seasoned officers, to up their game and to really, realize their full potential in that role.
Yeah,
great.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jared. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been our pleasure. Wishing you all the best with the book and all the other stuff you do. And thanks for being with us today, Jared.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for all your help too with the book.
Absolutely. Remember to like and subscribe YouTube, Responder Resilience. We're on Facebook, Responder Wellness Inc. and Responder TV, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and go to our website, respondertv.com, for past episodes and guest information. Till the next time, stay safe, be kind to yourself. Take care.